So I came in here. This is my day off. I figured I would work on getting these pull straps done, maybe chat a little bit. But the reality of the situation is I came in here and found a couple of videos on YouTube to watch. And when I was done with those, I tried to connect my 550 cord paracord. My lighter will not work, so I can't do anything with that. Sometimes I feel like that's the reality of life. My last video was life happens, and that's the truth, right? We make plans, we hope to do things, we set out to do said things, and sometimes God has different plans, and so it is with life. You know, we have these ideas and these plans of doing things, and sometimes they just don't pan out. And sometimes that's okay, right? Sometimes, excuse me, things don't go the way we want them, and it's not quite exactly how we expected. And it's okay because we can recoup, we can regroup, we can change what we wanted, we can do whatever. And it's okay because we move on. And sometimes when things don't go the way we want them to, it's rather devastating. I want to tell a story just quickly about my life. I'm 46. I just had a birthday yesterday. And while a lot of people think you can't experience great sorrow and great joy at the same time, and I beg to differ. I'm just going to use my birthday, for example. While I thoroughly enjoyed my time out to dinner with my boys and my wife, and while I can laugh and have happiness, my gut is scared, a little bit terrified because of some things that are going on with my wife. I can spend time with her and enjoy it and love it, but in the back of my mind, I'm full of worry and fear because of the days to come. I'm really trying not to just lose it right now. I am not a man who wears my emotions on my shoulder for the most part. I don't cry very often, but we've got some decisions to make. Like I said, she's having a couple of health issues, and we are looking at options on moving forward. What we're going to choose, and I don't know. And one of the hardest parts is when we are in this situation, there really isn't a whole lot that I can do for her because it's her body and I don't know her level of pain. And as a husband who loves and cherishes his wife, our number one desire is that they be pain-free and that they be happy. So that's where I'm at. And she knows the importance of trying to find some sort of joy amidst fear, some sort of joy amidst sadness. She understands that. And we always go out for dinner, or she cooks dinner for our birthdays. She woke up yesterday and she was in excruciating pain. And I've told her for days, babe, don't push yourself to do this. We can reschedule it. You know, the boys can come over. We can just do it at home. We'll order pizza, you know. But she was so intent. She was so intent on keeping a moment because that's something special that we do as a family. That she got up, she got dressed, and we went out for dinner. Me, her, and the boys. And my oldest son's wife. wanted to make sure that it was special, and it was. And I love her so much for so many reasons. But that one thing, that one display of her strength and care for others, I've watched her do it so many times over the years. For me, for her sons, for her parents, for other people, for my kids. I've watched her do it so many times, and I can't repay her for that. I don't think I could ever give her anything that would replicate how this makes me feel for her, because she wants to make sure everybody in her life feels special, feels loved. She has such a big heart, but she understands the importance of experiencing joy during sorrow. We have had our share of sorrow in our marriage, and while this that we're facing to some people may not be a big deal, it may not, oh, that's nothing, it may be. And that's one thing that we always talk about is being grateful, because there's always somebody who is in a worse boat than we are, so to speak. And we do remember that. But at the same time, every moment in a valley, every woe in our life takes a toll. And in our marriage, we have seen many woes, many valleys. We have been married now for, I think it'll be 13 years this year. The reason why that's hard to remember, and she vouches for this, is because we feel in our soul that we have been together for much, much longer than that. And I think that can be attributed to the things that we have went through in life together. We were both seemingly healthy people, with the only thing that really occurred health-wise in my life before her was I had one back surgery. Since we've been together, it's been health woe, one right after another, 9 days after. And I'm going to try to keep this short, and we can elaborate on each one later if people are interested. But I can't remember them all. But since we've been together, it has been one heck of a roller coaster. 9 days in, my back went out. Literally, we got married. We went on a honeymoon. Got back, we went camping with the kids. And then I was getting ready for church the first Sunday after our marriage, and my back went out. I couldn't put any weight on my legs. I couldn't stand up, couldn't step, couldn't do anything. All I could do was drag myself across the floor. And I spent the next, I think, month and a half in a wheelchair. And I had that back surgery. And the back surgeon told her that there was a really good chance that I may never walk again. Well, that was scary in itself. It was probably even scarier to a man and woman who had just been married 9 days prior. And she stuck with me. And she stayed, and God performed a miracle, and I was able to walk after that surgery. Then a few months later, I had to have another back surgery. Everything was okay. It was just to go in and look at a couple of things and tweak a couple of things. And then shortly after that, I had an accident, and I ended up with a traumatic brain injury, bruised the frontal lobes of my brain, damaged the rear, broke my nose, bruised all the way across my head, busted my lip, all from a fall. And I had passed out prior to the fall. That's what caused it. But long story short, they couldn't figure out why I passed out, this and that. They blamed it on a lot of other things. And as time went on, we had a breast cancer scare. We had a couple of stomach scares, cancer or disease, and all of that was clear. But the road during those things was pretty rough. And then I believe after that, it was my wife suffered from an SVT one night while we were out on a weekend trip. Landed us in the hospital, and it eventually landed her getting an ablation on her heart. Said ablation failed. Leading up to and after the ablation, she was bedridden most of the time. Anytime she got up to just something as simple as going to the restroom, her heart rate would just absolutely fly and then plummet. When she was diagnosed with sick sinus syndrome at that point, it wasn't until later down the road that we found out that there was a mistake made during surgery. Nonetheless, she ended up with a pacemaker. That too was a road trying to get things figured out with her pacemaker. Let me back up a little bit. During the traumatic brain injury, there was a brain tumor scare for me. And when I went to, I'd have a spinal tap done to make sure it wasn't cancer or anything like that. Miraculously, the tumor that was growing on the back of my brain disappeared after 6 months of steady growth. But after the spinal tap, I passed out again several hours later. I spent the next day and a half in the hospital. Again, they couldn't figure out what was going on, why I passed out, any of that stuff. Released me. I was good to go. Then the heart ablation stuff. And then down the road, found out that the ablation was failed. She was bedridden, which led to a pacemaker. The bottom lead of her pacemaker was placed too close to her diaphragm, so every time it would try to fire, it was literally shocking her. And the doctor who performed it kept, pushing it off. It's in your mind. It's this, it's that. Maybe you need to see a psychiatrist, yada, yada. Some psychosomatic symptoms, right? And then I passed out one night after having a whole lot of symptoms leading up to the event. Once I came to, every time I would try to sit up, I would pass out. My wife, terrified, calls the paramedics. They come in. Every time they try to sit me up, I'd pass out. They let me lay there, got me to. I was talking, try to put me in a chair. I pass out. They get me to the hospital. They check everything out. And it was during COVID. And all these doctors were saying, oh, it's COVID, blah, blah, blah. One doctor came in and said, guys, this isn't COVID. This is a neurocardiogenic syncope with AFib. That's the doctor I want to talk to, right? Because he's coming up with something that the narrative isn't pushing. And sure enough, he done some tests, told me I needed a pacemaker. I refused on that day. He said, well, I'll let you go home. You can't go to work. We'll give it some time, see how you feel. Exactly 1 week later, I told my wife, I said, I don't feel good. I'm going to lay down. She said, do I need to call the paramedics? No, I'm good. She calls the paramedics. They come in, they see me laying there, and it's the same 3 guys who had helped me 1 week prior. And they said, sir, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. He said, do we need to take you to the hospital? I said, no, I'm good. He said, well, I'll make a deal with you. I was like, okay. He said, if you can get up, walk 4 feet to my gurney and sit on it, you're good to go. He said, I'll leave. He said, but if you pass out, we're taking you to the hospital. I said, man, I can do that because I felt great. I was laying down. Sat up. I sat on the side of the bed for a second. I was good to go. I stand up. And the next thing I remember is me being on the gurney and them putting me into the ambulance. Go to the hospital, do some more tests. Doctor confirmed, yes, you absolutely do need a pacemaker. So shortly after my wife's pacemaker implant, I had a pacemaker implanted into my chest, and it has been a journey. Since then, we have both experienced good and bad days with our heart. We understand that we have heart conditions, and there's a lot of things that we used to do that we can no longer do. And we had a little bit of time there where things seemed to be okay. We weren't having to go through any health issues or anything like that. And a couple of things started coming around. She had to have some fibroids and stuff removed a couple of years ago that were causing her some issues. We got those took care of. Now she's dealing with that again. On crack is the term I'm going to use right now. But in dealing with that, she is also dealing with some heart issues that she's had to consult a cardiologist with, and we're going to follow up and debating on which surgery we need to do. We have to consult with the cardiologist on that too, getting second opinions, just looking at a multitude of different things. And during that, she has chose to, instead of just sit in the bed and worry and be sad, she does everything she can to try to maintain some level of joy. You know, we still watch a show on Netflix, and when she can get up and move, we try to go do something, you know, to keep walking to a minimum. But we'll get out, we'll ride around, go do something very simple like going to eat. But that's real life, you know. But I wanted to get that off of my chest and share that with somebody. I'm typically the guy who just keeps pushing. When I was in the Marine Corps, I was taught to compartmentalize my feelings, compartmentalize the bad things that are going on, and you have to do that in that type of training. The only thing that's bad about the Marine Corps is they don't really teach you how to deal with those things that you have compartmentalized. So it takes a toll on you. And sometimes it gets to be too much, and you literally have to dump those boxes. And I think that everybody needs to dump those boxes more often. That's that. I think I'm going to try to get some rest for the rest of the day. Sometimes just getting outside can help with so many things. Just feeling the outside air, feeling the sun hit your skin. I know a lot of people do the earthing thing where they take their shoes and socks off, and grounding, that's what it's called, I'm sorry. A lot of people do that. We've done that, and it feels great, but I didn't really see the extraordinary thing about it. Going and sitting by moving waters for the positive ions. We've done that, and believe it or not, I can feel that one. That's a pretty good one. I think just being outside, being in nature, being in your backyard, which I guess I'm pretty close to just being in nature in my backyard, but I don't know, it can help change your direction, your mood for the day. My wife used to think I was crazy, which I quit doing it, but I used to wake up in the mornings at 6 every day. I still do when I have to go to work, but I was getting up at 6 just about every day, even on my days off, just so I could come out and experience the beginning of a new day. The sun coming up, the birds, the air, and I quit doing that. I'm not real sure why. I think as I've gotten a little bit older, I'm requiring a little more sleep. My body is taking a little bit more of a beating, so it needs a little bit more rest, which all that makes sense, but I don't know. I may try to get back into it because it was very beneficial for my mental state, my mood, my aura, I guess you'd call it, I don't know. This is a frequent place that we like to come, just sit, enjoy the sound of the water. Some kids are playing at the playground. It's just really nice just to come out and rest and enjoy things. Good morning. Yesterday was a good day. I woke up feeling emotional. I got some things off my chest, and I helped. I kind of gave you an idea of who I was, what I've been through, and things of that sort. And today, I'm going to go to church, listen to a friend of mine preach, and after that, may come home and do nothing. We may go over to the oldest son's house to watch the Super Bowl. Not real sure yet. But I do know one thing. I've been 100% non-productive this weekend. I also want to say that I promise these videos will get a little bit better as spring comes around. When we get what's going on with my wife figured out as far as surgeries and things of that sort. Because last summer, we were outside all the time. We were going places, shooting birds, going for little walks, and they were always great. So stay tuned for that, because it will get better, I promise. Also, we go on trails, me and the boys. I'm not sure how much my wife would be doing that, but we do that occasionally, and it's always fun. So stay tuned. I know right now my videos are kind of redundant. A lot of me just sitting here talking, which is okay. I like those. It helps me, and I'm hoping it helps somebody down the road once the YouTube algorithm picks this stuff up and starts pushing it out there. Hopefully one day. But yeah, that's it. I may get on here. Trying to figure out what that noise was. I may get on here later and record some. I may not. Either way, I will either see you in a bit, or I will see you next time. So, I just sat the chair down on my foot, and that hurt. Just trying to wiggle around a little bit to get a bit. I get it. You know, that's a good time for me to talk about this. I was talking to my wife a minute ago. Probably a couple of hours ago by now. But I bought a mic, the DJI mini mic, good stuff. Hadn't even opened it yet. I'm going to return it. Why is that? Would I like to have excellent audio? Sure. Auto. Would I like to have excellent audio? Sure. But I didn't start this channel for perfection or anything like that, and I'm just starting this channel. So before I go to getting all this fancy stuff, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna try to give it a good 3 to 6 months before I purchase anything else, because currently I was able to start this channel with the exact things that I had on me. Have a tripod, a little mini tripod that I've had for years, because I do some photography and stuff just as a hobby, some videography as a hobby, so that came in handy. Last year, my boys got me a GoPro. Every gift that they've given me has been put to good work. I've used the GoPro on track days when we go to autocross. I have used the GoPro when we go on trails. I have used the GoPro to shoot some really cool shots of the stars. And that's what I'm starting this channel with. I don't want to purchase anything to make production better until I see that it's actually going to be worth it, that it's going to pan out for something. I'm not saying I want to get rich off of YouTube or anything like that. I just want to be able to produce things that get some views, that help some folks out. And if I'm not doing that in 3 to 6 months, I am not purchasing anything to make any production any better. All them gunshots back there. But that's that. Another thing that's getting me is I sit and I think to myself, what can I do to get more views, right? What can I do to make things better? And the reality is, again, I didn't start this channel for that reason. I started this channel for me to be able to have a place to vent and possibly help others. That being said, that's what I need to focus on. I don't need to focus on making big production that's going to make the masses happy, or I don't need to do any of that. I need to stick to what's me. No niche, no big planning, no nothing. Just when I feel like it, hits a little button at the top, wait for the red light to start blinking and record. And whatever that is for the day or for the week or whatever I end up with before I decide to, hey, put it all together for a video, that's that. I'm probably going to call this video quits. I've got some things to do around the house. Everyday, normal, mundane things. Do some laundry, unload the dishwasher, prep my lunch for tomorrow for work, little things like that. So I'm out.